Welcome to the New York State Seal of Biliteracy Module Series. These modules represent a collaboration between the New York State Education Department and the Mid-State and Midwest Arborns to support schools in beginning the process of implementation. The modules are designed as a self-guiding process for individual schools or those who wish to work together in a consortium. The modules can be viewed in a sequence or individually to brush up on a particular topic. Each module consists of an agenda, a PowerPoint, and various supporting documentation and exemplars. Schools are encouraged to use these documents for their promotional materials as well as for internal and external communications. These modules are available online on the OBEWL website. My name is Candace Black and I will be your guide for this module. Module 5 is unique in that it is designed for any person who will serve on the interview panel to evaluate presentations of the Culminating Project. Therefore, it can be used as part of this series for Seal of Biliteracy Committee members and/or as a standalone module given to those individuals who will evaluate the Culminating Projects. For this reason, viewers will see that some slides have been included from prior modules for informational purposes. If you are already familiar with the Seal of Biliteracy in general, you can skip the first section entitled Program and Purpose and begin with slide 26. If you are new to the Seal, it is recommended that you view the entire module. For more information on starting a Seal of Biliteracy program at your school, or for any questions regarding the Seal, please contact me at candace.black@nyssid.gov. Let's start by reviewing the module objectives. By the end of this module, participants will become familiar with the New York State Seal of Biliteracy program and its purpose, understand how to assess a student's language abilities using the active proficiency levels, understand the role of the panel members, and explain the presentation process based on viewing recordings of exemplar presentations. Let's review the action items from Module 4. Did your Seal of Biliteracy Committee accomplish the following? Create a description of the Culminating Project for English and at least one world language. Create a rubric that is aligned to the active proficiency guidelines for the intermediate high level that assesses student performance in all three modes of communication. The first part of this presentation will be an overview of the New York State Seal of Biliteracy program and purpose. The Seal of Biliteracy is an award given by a school, district, or county office of education that formally recognizes students who have attained a high level of proficiency in 2 or more world languages, one of which must be English, by high school graduation. The seal is awarded by the Commissioner to students who meet the criteria established by the Board of Regents and who attend schools that voluntarily agree to participate in the program. The seal must be made available to all students who meet the required criteria at no cost to the student. The seal is a sticker provided by NYSSB to schools at no charge each year. It is affixed to the student's diploma and is noted on the student's official high school transcript and on the graduation program. So now that we know what the seal is, let's talk about why New York offers the Seal of Biliteracy. The seal acknowledges the importance of being bilingual in today's global society. It highlights the hard work and achievement of students and encourages them to pursue language study while in school. In addition, the recognition of attaining biliteracy becomes part of the high school transcript and diploma as a statement of accomplishment for future employers and for college admissions. Why do schools offer the Seal of Biliteracy? To encourage the study of languages. Having a SEAL program has the potential to increase enrollment in upper-level world language courses as students see the value in continuing their studies of a world language through high school. To recognize the value of language diversity. There are over 200 languages spoken by students in New York State. Students can earn the seal in any of these languages. To provide employers with a method of identifying people with language skills. The demand for a bilingual workforce is on the rise in our increasingly globalized society. Students who develop a proficiency in more than one language will be more marketable. To provide universities with a method to recognize and give credit to applicants for attainment of high-level skills in multiple languages. The seal uses the nationally recognized active proficiency levels, make it easy for colleges across the nation to evaluate students' applications. To prepare students with 21st century skills. The communication skills and cultural competence developed by the SEAL are essential to effectively work with diverse populations. To honor the multiple cultures and languages in a community. Because students can obtain the SEAL in any language, it encourages the development of home language skills, honoring the knowledge of our heritage language students. Finally, students who earn the Seal of Biliteracy positively contribute to the district's accountability score for ESSA. To better understand the SEAL, let's take a look at its evolution in New York State from the beginning. The Seal of Biliteracy was passed by the legislature and signed into law by Governor Cuomo in 2012. In 2014, the New York State Board of Regents approved the implementation of a Seal of Biliteracy pilot program in a limited number of districts to inform the final set of criteria that would be established for all schools. The criteria for students to earn the Seal of Biliteracy was formally approved by the Board of Regents in 2016. The first year of full statewide implementation of the Seal was 2016-2017. As of the publication of this module, 40 states plus the District of Columbia currently offer a state-approved Seal of Biliteracy. California was the first state to establish a Seal of Biliteracy program in 2008, followed by New York in 2012. More information on Seal of Biliteracy programs in other states can be found on the website www.sealofbiliteracy.org. In 2019-20, there were 294 schools that offered a Seal of Biliteracy program. This represents 1 in every 5 public high schools in our state. The growth of the New York State Seal of Biliteracy program has been substantial since its beginning in 2015-16 with only 14 pilot schools. Each year, we have seen a significant increase in the number of schools offering this program. In 2019-20, over 4,600 students earned the New York State Seal of Biliteracy. As with the number of schools offering the Seal, we've also seen significant growth in the number of students earning the Seal each year. It is important to note that this number increased by more than 500 students from last year despite the COVID-19 related school closures. Since the very first Seal of Biliteracy program was offered in 2015-16, more than 12,000 New York State students have earned this award. The graph on this slide illustrates the breakdown of students earning the Seal of Biliteracy in the current academic year by their L status. It is important to understand which students are eligible to pursue the Seal, so let's review the possible student subgroups. The term English Language Learner, or L, is used to refer to those students identified as having language acquisition needs pursuant to Part 154 of the Commissioner's Regulations. The term Former or Ever L is used to refer to students who were previously identified as Ls, but who have since exited L status by achieving the appropriate level of English proficiency as evidenced by their NYSSB score. The term Never L is used to refer to students who were never identified as having language acquisition needs pursuant to Part 154 of the Commissioner's Regulations. From this chart, we can see that approximately 3/4 of students who earn the Seal are Never Ls, with 1/4 of students being former Ls or current Ls. In 2019-20, students earned the New York State Seal of Biliteracy in 59 different languages, including our very first candidate in an indigenous language, Tuscarora. This represents an increase of 12 additional languages from last year. The most common language in which students complete the Seal is by far Spanish. Other common languages include French, Italian, Chinese, German, Latin, American Sign Language, Arabic, Russian, and Bengali. Students may earn the Seal of Biliteracy in English and any number of other world languages. To earn the Seal of Biliteracy in more than one world language in addition to English, students must earn 3 points according to the criteria in each language. In 2019-20, 80 students earned the Seal in 2 world languages in addition to English, and 3 students earned it in 3 world languages in addition to English. Let's now review the criteria for a student to earn the New York State Seal of Biliteracy. A candidate must complete all requirements for graduating with a New York State Regents diploma and must earn 3 points in English and 3 points in one or more other world languages according to the criteria set forth in the handbook. Here is the point matrix for English. Students must earn a total of 3 points using any combination of the criteria shown on this page. Each criterion is listed with its corresponding point value. 1A. Students may score 80 or higher on the New York State Regents examination in English Language Arts. ELs may also earn a point under this criterion by scoring 75 or above on 2 Regents exams other than English without translation. 1B. ELs may achieve an overall score of 290 or above on the New York State English as a Second Language Achievement Test, or NYSSB. 1C. Students may complete all 11th and 12th grade ELA courses with an average of 85 or higher, or a comparable score using another scoring system set by the district and approved by the commissioner. 1D. Students may earn a 3 or higher on an Advanced Placement AP English Language or English Literature examination. It is possible for students to earn a 3 or higher on both of these exams to earn a total of 2 points. ELs may also earn a point under this criterion by scoring an 80 or higher on all components of the Test of English as a Foreign Language or TOEFL exam. 1E. Students may earn 2 points by presenting a culminating project, scholarly essay, or portfolio that meets the criteria for speaking, listening, reading, and writing established by the district's Seal of Biliteracy Committee to a panel of reviewers with at least intermediate high proficiency in English. Here is the point matrix for world languages. Students must earn a total of 3 points using any combination of the criteria shown on this page. Each criterion is listed with its corresponding point value. 2A. Students may complete a Checkpoint C level world language course with a grade of 85 or higher. This Checkpoint C course may be a 1-year or a 2-year course sequence. 2B. Students may provide transcripts from a school in a foreign country showing at least 3 years of instruction in the student's home or native language with equivalent grade averages of B or higher. 2C. Students enrolled in a bilingual education program may complete all required home language arts or HLA coursework with an 85% or higher. 2D. Students may score at a proficient level on an accredited Checkpoint C World Language Assessment. See next slide. 2E. Students may present a culminating project, scholarly essay, or portfolio that meets the criteria for speaking, listening, reading, and writing established by the district's Seal of Biliteracy Committee that is aligned to the New York State Checkpoint C learning standards to a panel of reviewers with at least intermediate high proficiency in the target language. This is the list of approved Checkpoint C assessments that can be used to earn a point towards Criterion 2D. Students must earn the minimum score indicated in order to earn a point. Students may take 2 AP exams in a world language, such as Spanish language and Spanish literature, and earn 2 points if they achieve the minimum required score for each exam. Developers of national exams are encouraged to submit their exam for consideration of inclusion on future iterations of this list. Let's take some time to reflect upon and discuss what has been presented so far. What are some benefits to the school of having a Seal of Biliteracy program? What are some benefits to the communities served by a school that has a Seal of Biliteracy program? We will now give an overview of the language proficiency level required for the Seal of Biliteracy. According to the New York State Seal of Biliteracy Handbook that was adopted by the Board of Regents, New York State has set the target level of proficiency at intermediate high based on the Actiful Proficiency Guidelines. World language teachers should be quite familiar with this document as it represents a national standard within the discipline. Teachers of other disciplines, as well as non-teaching staff on either the Seal of Biliteracy Committee or the panel of reviewers, may need some training on these proficiency levels. Next, we will explore intermediate high proficiency and what it looks and sounds like within the 3 modes of communication. Communication is divided into 3 modes: interpretive, interpersonal, and presentational. The following slides review each of the modes, which will be described in depth for the required proficiency level. Essentially, interpretive communication is listening, reading, or viewing. Interpersonal communication is speaking or signing and listening and receiving, or reading and writing. Presentational communication is speaking, signing, or writing. The interpretive mode is defined as the receptive communication of oral, signed, or written messages. It is mediated or negotiated communication via print and non-print materials. In simple terms, interpretive communication is reading, viewing, listening, or receiving. The listener, receiver, viewer, or reader works with visual or recorded materials created by another who is not present for the communication. With the interpretive mode, students who are at the intermediate high level can consistently do the following: follow the main message or storyline, follow the actions or flow of events, understand the use of various time frames to express when something happened or will happen, and understand conversations, discussions, and straightforward descriptive paragraph-length informational texts. The interpersonal mode is defined as direct oral, signed, or written communication, face-to-face or remote, between individuals who are in personal contact. In simple terms, it is speaking and listening, signing and receiving, or writing back and forth with someone else. With the interpersonal mode, students at the intermediate high level can consistently do the following: exchange information in conversations and some discussions on a variety of familiar and some concrete topics that the student has researched using connected sentences that may combine to form paragraphs and asking a variety of questions, often across various time frames. Interact with others to meet their needs in a variety of situations, sometimes involving a complication, using connected sentences that may combine to form paragraphs and asking a variety of questions, often across various time frames. Explain preferences, opinions, and emotions and provide advice on a variety of familiar and some concrete topics that students have researched using connected sentences that may combine to form paragraphs and asking a variety of questions, often across various time frames. The presentational mode is defined as productive communication using oral, signed, or written language. It is spoken, signed, or written communication for people with whom there is no immediate personal contact or which takes place in a one-to-many mode. In simple terms, it is one-way speaking or signing, such as a speech or demonstration, or writing, such as an essay. The author of the visual or recorded material is not known personally to the listener or reader. With the presentational mode, students at the intermediate high level can consistently do the following: tell stories about school, community events, and personal experiences using a few short paragraphs, often across various time frames. State their viewpoint on familiar or research topics and provide reasons to support it using a few short paragraphs and often across various time frames. Give detailed presentations on a variety of familiar topics and some concrete topics that students have researched using a few short paragraphs, often across various time frames. Let's take some time to reflect upon and discuss what has been presented so far. What are some of the key repeated words in the descriptions of the three modes? What are the most important characteristics of the intermediate high proficiency level for each mode? Next, we will explore the panel presentations. To prepare for panel presentations, schools must decide upon the following. What are the various options for culminating projects in a world language? What rubric will be used to evaluate the culminating projects, as well as the presentation of the project to the panel? How will the panel presentations be conducted? In order to earn 2 points in a world language towards the Seal of Biliteracy, students must create a culminating project in the target language and then present it in the same target language to the panel of interviewers. The culminating project may be a project, a scholarly essay, or a portfolio presented to a panel of reviewers that meets the criteria for the 3 modes of communication established by the district's Seal of Biliteracy Committee and that is aligned to the New York State Checkpoint C learning standards and the Actiful Proficiency level. The presentation is followed by spontaneous interaction in the target language between the panel and the student, in which panel members ask the student various questions, some of which may be prepared ahead of time. It is important to note that these questions should not be shared with the student before the presentation. Because the presentation and the interview are conducted in the target language, it is important that the panelists speak the target language. According to the Seal of Biliteracy Handbook, students will present all proof necessary to show that they have met the criteria for earning the New York State Seal of Biliteracy. If a student is being evaluated on a portfolio, project, and/or essay assessment, a panel of interviewers selected by the Seal of Biliteracy Committee will interview the student in the chosen language to measure interpersonal and presentational skills. The interpretive skills should be evaluated by the teacher or advisor ahead of time. The SBC can choose to invite members of the community to be panelists, especially in the case of low incidence languages. The committee may also consult with its Regional Bilingual Education Resource Network, or ARBERN, to find qualified panelists. Criterion 2E states that students may earn 2 points towards the Seal of Biliteracy in a world language by being able to present a culminating project to a panel of reviewers with at least intermediate high proficiency in the target language. We are providing here examples of 2 student presentations, one in French and the other in Chinese. Links to the sample student presentations were provided by Rochester Early College International High School and include both the slides and the recorded presentations. Viewers can access the slides and videos by clicking on the links within the PowerPoint presentation, or if viewing the video, please stop this video momentarily and click on the links provided in the agenda. Schools are authorized to permit a panelist who does not live in the district to participate in the interview remotely. Due to precautions taken by COVID-19, and whenever it is not feasible to assemble students in a panel for these presentations, schools may conduct the culminating project presentations via video conference. When classes are able to be held in person, it is expected that the student and as many panelists as possible will meet in person for the presentation and interviews. When it is necessary to recruit a panelist who doesn't live within a reasonable distance of the district, it will be permitted for that panelist to participate remotely. The following recordings are virtual student presentations and interviews provided by the Liverpool Central School District. We encourage your panel of interviewers to watch the videos for the languages they speak. Viewers can access the slides and videos by clicking on the links within the PowerPoint presentation, or if viewing the video, please stop the video momentarily and click on the links provided in the agenda. Let's take some time to reflect upon and discuss what has been presented so far. What did you notice about the student presentations you watched? What are some of the logistics to consider for a panel presentation? Next, we will explore the role of the panelists. According to the Seal of Biliteracy Handbook, the role of the interview panel is to measure the student's knowledge of the topics of the project, essay, or portfolio being presented, as well as the student's proficiency in the target language. Panelists may ask students questions about the topics presented, the student's process in creating the project, their personal feelings about the topic, and other questions the panel feels are necessary to measure the student's knowledge of the topic and the target language. It is important to reiterate that both the presentation and all interaction between the student and the panelist should be exclusively in the target language. When engaging panelists, and especially when engaging community members, that is, other than school or district personnel to serve on the panel, it is important for the Seal of Biliteracy Coordinator to share the following with the panelists prior to the presentation. Where the student learned the target language: in the district, in another country, at home, in a weekend language school. If the student speaks a regional dialect of the language, if so, which dialect or which region? The topic of the presentation. The format of the student work. Is it a project, presentation, or portfolio? The date, time, and anticipated duration of the presentation and interview. The time allotted for questions. The number of questions each panelist will be permitted to ask. Any sample or model questions. Who else will serve on the panel? If the presentation and interview will be recorded, and if so, how it will be used. the security procedures for a visitor entering the school, for instance, parking, if a driver's license must be provided, the room in which the presentations will take place, primary seal of biliteracy contact name and email, and any required paperwork, such as a notice of confidentiality. If the panelists will be participating in the panel remotely, the logistics of the connection, such as the platform or a password. And finally, how to score students on the rubric. Panelists should be provided with training on how to use the rubric, as well as provided with a copy of the rubric to review ahead of time. Here are some general guidelines to follow when evaluating culminating projects. Students should be evaluated holistically on the 3 modes of communication: interpretive, interpersonal, and presentational. Schools may use the sample rubric or provide their own rubric to evaluate student projects. Students should be assessed by a panel of interviewers consisting of 2 or more adults who are qualified speakers of the language of the presentation. If the presentation is given in a low incidence language, or if there is only 1 adult speaker of the language in a district, the panel can consist of fewer reviewers. Evaluators should not be related to the student. Panel members should become familiar with the rubric prior to the student's presentation and panel discussion. It is best practice to provide panelists with some sample questions that could be asked during the interview, although panelists should feel comfortable developing their own questions. The following sample questions were provided by East High School. Note that all of these questions are open-ended, that is, none are yes or no questions. The reason for this is to allow the student enough freedom and space to demonstrate what they can do with the language. High-quality questions will ask students to give an answer and then to justify it with a rationale. The students' answers will provide the panelists with the information needed to ask follow-up questions to probe deeper. Think back to one of the presentation recordings you watched as part of this module. What kinds of questions might you have asked if you were a panelist for those presentations? Now you're going to be given the opportunity to look at an actual culminating project and presentation. Because the common language of these modules is English, we will use a culminating project in English prepared by an English language learner and native speaker of Swahili from the Buffalo Public Schools. This student wrote a play in English and in Swahili, including researched historical information about his country. The play is accessible in both languages via the hyperlinks on this slide. Now you will take a look at this student's presentation of his culminating project. The student, Masada J. Nankumba, is a former L who came to Lafayette High School as a teenager from Africa. For his culminating project, Masada wrote a play in Swahili and English entitled, How Shall We Overcome? In the video, you are encouraged to view a portion of the culminating project presentation and panel interview. Viewers will note the spontaneous nature of the interaction between the student and the panel. As you watch the video, focus on the following 3 questions. At which proficiency level does the student fall on the rubric? What kinds of questions are asked by the panel of reviewers? What questions could we add? When the video is finished, discuss your answers with someone else. The link to access this video is found on both the PowerPoint and the agenda. Please stop the recording. Let's take some time to reflect upon and discuss what has been presented so far. What questions did you hear asked in the panel presentation? What questions might you add? We will now review the resources available for the Seal of Biliteracy. First and foremost, the New York State Seal of Biliteracy Handbook provides questions and answers, forms, and a helpful glossary that defines terms used in the Seal of Biliteracy process. This handbook is updated yearly and can be downloaded from the Seal of Biliteracy website. Another resource is the New York State Seal of Biliteracy Annual Report, compiled by the Office of Bilingual Education and World Languages. Included in the report are sections on an executive summary, key statistics and analysis, goals for the following year, strategies to achieve those goals, changes to the program for the following year, and resources. This report is available on the New York State Seal of Biliteracy website. We have now reached the end of the presentation of Module 5. Let's revisit our objectives for this module. Consider whether the Seal of Biliteracy Committee was able to accomplish all of the following can-do statements included here. For one final reflection, think about or discuss the answers to the following two questions. What is the most helpful thing you learned today? What questions do you still have? Please share any additional questions you may have with the Seal of Biliteracy Committee. Further questions can be emailed to candace.black@nyssd.gov. On behalf of the multilingual learners across New York State, thank you for your time and commitment to ensuring that the New York State Seal of Biliteracy is accessible for all students. For more information on the seal, please contact us at candace.black@nyssd.gov or via phone at 518-473-7505. We can also arrange for a virtual or in-person visit to a school to meet with your Seal of Biliteracy Committee. New York City Department of Education schools should contact the Division of Multilingual Learners at dml@schools.nyc.gov. The OBEWL New York State Seal of Biliteracy website has a wealth of information on the seal and is easily accessible from this link or by visiting www.nyssd.gov and typing Seal of Biliteracy into the search bar. Every region of New York is serviced by one of 8 regional bilingual education resource networks, or RBIRNs. These organizations can provide local support for a Seal of Biliteracy program. The link for each RBIRN is listed below. New York State Language RBIRN statewide, Capital District RBIRN at Questar 3 BOCES, Hudson Valley RBIRN at SW BOCES, Long Island RBIRN at Eastern Suffolk BOCES, Mid-State RBIRN at OCM BOCES, Midwest RBIRN at Monroe 2 Orleans BOCES, New York City RBIRN at Fordham University, and RBIRN West at Erie 1 BOCES. Thank you for participating in this module. We hope this has been helpful. Please feel free to send any feedback on this module to the aforementioned email, as we are always looking to improve the end-user experience. The members of the New York State Seal of Biliteracy Task Force listed on this slide were instrumental in contributing to and reviewing this module series. On behalf of the Office of Bilingual Education and World Languages of the New York State Education Department, the authors would like to thank them for their service.